Not the last time, but one more time.
Hopefully.
Well,
Hopefully.
speak for yourself. It's May 1st. This is podcast number 4, CSI Podcast number 4, and I'm Mark Griffin, and I'm with Mr. Ozzy Reynolds. He sounds like a rock star, but his hair's not long enough.
I am in the office, right?
Is that right? Yeah, rock star. And today's going to be a little different. Ozzy's going to bring you up to speed a little bit more on some of the invitationals that we're doing in our July event, which is really shaping up to be an awesome event. And I'm going to make a few comments on some threads on AZ as soon as we take care of the important stuff. And we're going to discuss a little bit of what is CSI, how did CSI happen, and who we are, where we're going, and we might know the answers, we might not. So, you, sir, I'll ask you a question. What's your first question, sir?
Well, I thought we'd start off, get on a regular format. Let's talk a little bit of industry news. I was looking on AZ Billiards, and I noticed that, well, I knew this without looking on AZ Billiards, but Darren Appleton won the AccuStats Make It Happen All-Star.
He
not that it's
dominated.
Not that it's a huge surprise, but
yeah, I was a little shocked.
Very dominated the event.
Yeah, I didn't think I didn't really get into it, but he was clobbering people.
Yep, I think at one point he was 7-0.
Yeah. Which
is unreal in that field.
And he created a little bit of controversy with his straight pool finesse. What do they say? Stuff happens, and you get wound up, penned up, and everything. But yeah, and the referees did absolutely the right thing to do. It's a DQ. There's no questions, answers, whatever. That's the way it is. But I think I think Darren is maturing into be a.
People may not know what you're talking about.
Well, he was playing straight pool with was it Thorsten?
I think it was Dennis.
I think you're right. And he broke, and there was like 29 balls left for somebody to win or something. And he missed a little off-angle combination. And in frustration, he took his cue stick and jabbed the cue ball, or jabbed a ball. It flew off the table and disturbed a couple other balls. Unsportsmanlike conduct. You're dead.
Yep.
And that was his one and only loss, I think. And he apologized immediately.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to get at. The one thing about that whole situation, it's unfortunate, and he made a mistake. But he was very quick. I found out about it through one of his Facebook posts, and he made the statement. He described what he did, and he said he was sorry and he was embarrassed at the way he behaved.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like about Darren, he is active in his whatever he's doing. I'm not a big Facebook fan, but I poke around on it, and I'm one of his friends, or however that works. And I get his posts, and I read them sometimes, and he's always on key. He's like, a great game with Joe Blow, and he beat me, or I beat him, but he played great, and blah blah blah. He's not in the negative, and that's what this industry needs. This negative stuff just got to go away.
Yeah,
that means I guess I better leave, huh?
And everybody makes mistakes, but he owns up to it.
Yep. No, he's been pretty good.
He's a very down-to-earth guy, and I enjoy talking to him whenever he's around.
He does have a little bit of a temper, though, but I think he's getting better and better as he gets older. But everybody does. Look at the pressure you're under. You're trying to prove something to yourself, to your friends, your mates, your the opponents, the pool world. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of dynamics going on, and it was just a split-second thing. It wasn't like he did it with malice or forethought. It was just boom. And
I'm a firm believer. People are entitled to make mistakes, and if they own up to it and apologize, you move on.
Oh,
but I will say,
agree with that.
But I will say, fantastic performance. That being set aside, he beat out Dennis Orcolo, Thorsten Homan, and Shane Van Bonen to dominate that event.
Yeah,
that's strong.
It is
very strong.
And AccuStats did another fine performance, and that's great. Good for them.
Yep. Next thing I noticed, and I'm not really familiar with this event, but Francisco Bustamante won the Interpool 10-ball challenge.
Now, is that the one that was in Sweden? Because there was a big event in Sweden that Marcus Schmatt was part of the promotion on.
I don't think when you say big event, I guess that depends on how you define it. But I think I read that this was like a 16-player invitational type
I wasn't that familiar with it either, or I would have it would stuck in my head. But it was an AZ thing. Bustamante's a threat to win anything, though.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because in the thread that we're going to refer to later, everybody says, here's Bustamante. He's one of the greatest players ever, and he's won one world championship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough out there. On any given day, anybody can win these races. And a lot of the discussions were on length of races and this and that. It's not that.
That's what makes it exciting.
I agree.
Anybody can win.
Yeah.
Yep. So the point in bringing that up was, one, congratulations to Francisco, but also it shows you these guys are getting older, but they're still active and they're still
51,
winning.
51, I think. I think he just turned 50, which that's not old.
No,
he's a kid.
If you were to ask him, he'd say he's an old man.
Yeah.
Next, this made big news over a week ago. Justin Bergman won the Smoking Aces.
He's on fire.
Bar box shootout, 20K.
And the Calcutta was 20. Justin Bergman's on fire. You know, an interesting story. I did not know who Justin Bergman was. This is about 2006, 7, one of our second, third, fourth year we had the VCA Pool League tournaments. And a friend of mine from Arizona says, "I'm surprised you let Justin Bergman in." I says, "Why? Who is he?" He says, "You'll find out." He slept through. He missed his first match. Just didn't even show up. Came in second.
Wow.
And that was in the, I can't remember if that was in the Open or the Masters. I think it was and the guy that won it was a mailman from Arizona, and he's never been seen or heard from since. And but it was interesting, and then Justin played on that team from St. Louis he's real good friends with Watches, and the kid's got game, and he's maturing. You know, he got a little crazy there for a while. I had an incident with him when he was a junior, which I will not repeat, but it was kind of interesting. But he put out a challenge to Dennis Hatch to play a $20,000 set. There's been huge matches on the Facebook things. You had Smooth Criminal. Chris Bartram and Dee Adkins played I think it was a 40 in the middle, one pocket. You had Hennessy and Skyler. Tyler or Skyler? I get them mixed up.
Skyler Wood.
Hennessy and Bergman, right? Hennessy and Bergman played.
Yeah.
Hennessy and Bergman, yeah.
Well, yeah, and Hennessy and Bergman played.
Yeah.
And Hennessy and Skyler played too, and they're going to play again. So there's a lot of people just say, let's do it.
Yeah, and for the people that don't know what we are referring to, Smoking Aces Bar Box Shootout, it was a 16-player, $2,000 entry, zero added, which I'm fine with. But the winner got $20K, and second place got $7K, and it only paid $3.
Yeah.
Which
and
again,
Rob Sayers came in third.
Yep.
His game's picking up.
Corey Doole
came in second.
Got second to Justin Bergman.
And everybody was very respectful on their posts on it, saying, you know, I came in second, I came in third, not bad for that field. Congratulations to the winners. I like to see that. It's called sportsmanship. That's what this industry needs. We don't need all this bickering and all this other crap. But
I agree.
And then, of course, there's the Justin Bergman Mosconi Cup move. I mean, a lot of people think he should be on the Mosconi Cup. I'm not going there because I don't know what their criteria is anymore. But the boy can play, and he's just a kid. He looks younger than me. I think he's like 26.
His talent is unquestionable.
Yeah, you know who he is. Then.
Well, yeah, I don't know him on a personal level, but I know who he is.
Here's name dropping then.
Well, I've watched him play, and incredible talent.
He is.
The one thing I question, and what I'd like to see, particularly if he's accepted on the Mosconi Cup, is continue his maturity.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be in great.
Well, you know, he
great
just
shape.
got back into the game. He'd quit for a year or two. He'd play for a season. He was on and off again. He's kind of like an Alex. A lot of talent. You just never know how strong people like that would be if they had Shane's work ethic and their talent. They'd be better than Shane. Because I don't think Shane had a tremendous amount of talent.
I don't think you and I have Shane's work ethic.
Well, no. But, you know, it's what, 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. I mean, that's life. And you just got to take your hat off. But raw talent, like Ronnie O'Sullivan, I mean, in snooker, it's just a thing of beauty. When it's all clicking, you just got to sit down and watch.
Yep.
You know, which is kind of what Shane did to the Mr. Greek. You know, and I only heard about. I watched like 10 minutes.
That's not on the notes, but we can talk about it. I can't pronounce his last name. Nick the Greek is what people call him. He and Shane Van Boning had a challenge match in Greece. Yes, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he went over for a tournament there, and I think it's great that they got involved. And there's some pretty good players over there. I mean, they beat some people up. You know,
was it 10-ball race to 50?
That's right. That's what the finals was. But they also had a tournament. You know.
And I got to be honest, when I heard that the matchup was going to take place, my first thought, and I hate to be biased, but my first thought was, they're not on the same level. No. I was just a little surprised at the matchup. And it came out a little like I expected, although I didn't quite expect it to be that bad. But Shane won 50-21.
Well, I heard he just put on a show. I mean, he broke loose, and it was kind of a generous table. Looked like a gold crown.
What did you say, Justin? He displayed the finer points of equine intercourse?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shane does what he does.
Yeah.
You called it, Ozzy. It really is. I mean, I think Nick deserves a lot of respect.
Yes, he does.
And it was a smart move on his part. He got Shane over there. You know, he owned the pool room.
And the bar.
He had him there for 5 days.
Yeah.
They had a tournament, and then he had the challenge match. So, you know, if anything, the only thing he lost was maybe, having to sit there and take that beating. But, on a monetary level and on an exposure level,
sure,
I think you'd have to qualify it as a success for him.
I'd never fault a guy for stepping up, having heart.
I think he did a tremendous job because he basically, he's been in the scene for the last year or two with the U.S. Open and stuff like that. He's beat some people. He's bringing Greece onto the people are becoming aware of that they can play pool in Greece. So, but it's amazing to me. Even you hear some of the Arab countries, you never hear of these guys, and they take down a world champion and say, "Who the hell is that guy?"
Right. Right.
But I think it's pretty cool. I admire everybody that was involved, and I guess Shane really put a seminar on, and it was an extremely, and I'll say that, an extremely short race to 50, which might come up in future discussions here. This race to 50 stuff doesn't usually take 3 or 4 hours, boys. And that could be a 7 or 8 hour slugfest. Yeah,
that's when someone puts on a clinic.
Yes,
it'll go that quick.
So, but it was a lot of people watch it. It was streamed. They had a pretty good crowd watching it, from what I understand. So great. Hey, a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
The action creates action. We love to see it. So,
why don't we announce the final 4 names for the CSI Invitationals?
Sure. Justin, Mark. Yes. Then the package will be full, and everybody will know who is and who ain't.
Okay. So for the North American side, and for those of you that have been living in a closet, it's a 16-player invitational, 2 events, 10-ball and 8-ball, 4 groups of 4, round-robin format. North America, Europe, Philippines, and Asia. We've already announced 3 players in each group. For the North American side, it was Shane Van Boning, Mike Deshane, and Corey Dool. Mm-hmm. European side, it was Darren Appleton, Ralph Souquet, Thorsten Homan.
It's Torsten, by the way. Torsten.
Wouldn't want to get that wrong. I'm going to let you handle the Asians.
Yeah, you do that. Asian number 1.
Philippines. The Philippines group was Francisco Bustamante.
And drum roll, please.
Efren Reyes.
Yeah, we got the duo.
Warren Kiamko. And the Asian side, take it away, Mark.
Yeah, thanks. Well, Pin Yi Ko, I always said Ko Pin Yi. We all know who he is. And then this Cheng Yu Swan, or something. He won the White Diamonds event.
I think his radar name in the U.S. is Kevin Ching.
Okay.
That's what I
And then you got Young Lin Chang, got me. And then you could mention who the 4th one of each grouping is.
Okay, so here we are, the final spot for North America, John Mora.
That's right. I love his mechanics. I think John Mora's, he's another one he doesn't improve as fast as somebody, keeps getting there and he's getting better and better. His mechanics are very good.
Yep. So for North American, we have 3 USA players and 1 Canadian. John Mora is Canadian. And I will say, I won't mention any names, but it was a very, very close contest for this final spot, and they were both Canadian.
Yeah.
So it was close to a toss-up.
Well, and we're probably going to get some criticism on who we picked and who we didn't pick. You got to pick somebody. You only have 4. It's tough. It's tough.
I'm a little disappointed I didn't make the cut.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm not surprised either. But I'll be honest with you, some of this was predicated on, shall we say, behavior patterns. That's one of the things.
Well, I mean, we didn't hide the fact that the criteria was performance and professionalism.
Yep.
So those were the 2 things that we looked at.
Yep.
And we picked the 4 that we felt
Yeah.
Were the highest in those two categories.
For various reasons.
Yep.
Some, there's a lot of things you got to take into balance. This is the first time we're trying it. Let's see how it works. Don't beat up on us too bad. At least we're trying something, and we're adding 16,000 to each event. That's 32,000 added, with a total of 16 players. Same players in both events, different groupings, so you won't have any recurrence. So here's what you've got. You got 16 players. You're going to have 16 awesome matches. There's not a bad match anywhere.
More than 16 matches.
Well, yeah, that's you know what I said. I know what I said. I just didn't say it right. So tell us the rest of the
all right,
missing pieces.
European side, the final spot, Jason Shaw. That might surprise some people.
I think it's going to surprise some people. He's exciting, though. A little volatile. I think he's probably on probation as he comes in the door, but that's okay. He's got, you know.
Jason does have
yeah.
He's got some blemishes in his past, but I had some very good conversations with
There's
Jason.
a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
And I'm confident.
So am I.
He will be a perfect professional.
Yes.
And I love to watch him play. He's got a great pace.
Oh, yeah.
Great pace.
Yeah, yeah. And he's going to get better and better. And we're trying to build relationships here. We want people that are going to be here 5 and 10 years and 20 years from now. I might not be, but he might.
You'll be here 20, 30 years from now, right?
I will.
All right, Philippines. This probably won't surprise many people.
No.
The final spot, Dennis or Colo.
Yeah. So we've got quite a package from the Philippines.
Right, I think he's #1 in the Philippines right now, right?
Yeah, there seems to be, him and Shane, and there's one other Asian guy that they consider the top. I was going by SJM and some of those guys' posts, and they're pretty accurate. But I think the fact that we've got Francisco, Efren, Dennis, and Warren, I mean,
that's tough.
That's just the Philippines. This is going to be an awesome thing. And having Efren is just, Efren's Efren. That's, what can you say? I don't care how old or how bad he hits him, you're going to learn something. He's still a magician,
Yep. And that leads us to number 16.
Yep.
The final spot on the Asian side, Ping Chung Ko.
Yeah.
Ko Pinyi's little brother.
Yeah. And he plays every bit as good as Ko Pinyi or Pinyi Ko. They're both world junior champions, I believe. I was there in Germany the year that the older brother won it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he played in our U.S. Open 10 ball the first year, and he did okay, but he didn't kill anybody. But he was. They're both very impressive, and that leads up to some of the potential that we had and as all the debate on AZ Billiards is, we can now have some special events, which is Ko Pinyi and Shane Van Boning. And there's been talk for years that that's the only guy that can stand up to Shane's break. We'll see, because they're playing a race to 21.
We'll see.
We're going to have 3 challenge matches, just so I'm not going to tell you who the other ones are because that's none of your business.
Well,
I don't even know.
We're going to announce the second one.
Yeah, we are.
In just a minute.
So,
but I will say, this field, these 16 players playing round-robin format, and
yeah,
let me explain a little further. There won't be 2 North Americans in the same group. Each group consists of 1 player from each group.
Yep.
It's going to be phenomenal.
That's right. 1 from the U.S., or 1 from North America, or 1 from North America, Europe, Philippines, and Asia in each group of 4. Yep. And then that's in the 8 ball. And in the 10 ball, it's the same concept, but we are not going to let them repeat with the same.
Yeah, it'll be there'll be different groups for everybody.
You're going to get to see some awesome matches. All of this is played on 2 tables, so there's not going to be a bad seat in the house. And it's all going to be streamed, pay-per-view for those that aren't there. If you're staying at the Rio, it's free in your room with, what do you call it when it plays all night?
Loops.
Loops,
yeah,
with an all-night loop. And it's going to be tremendous. It's a little more intimate because there's only 2 tables. 90%, there's only one that's going to be really the streaming table, but if that one gets done earlier, we'll be able to put the other one in. But it's
well, you already mentioned on July 17th is our first challenge match, Shane Van Boning versus Pinyi Ko. But we just put together the second one, July 21st. Yep, that's what my note says. Yeah. July 21st.
This is an interesting one. This one's going to catch a lot of people.
This is going to be
great.
This
is going to be a cool one. It really is.
July 21st, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Is my math right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Scotch doubles 8 ball. Race to 21.
Scotch doubles. That's 2 people per team. Alternating shots.
Race to 21. Winner breaks.
Yeah. Listen to this.
First, Corey Deuel and Mike DeShane versus Francisco Bustamante and Efren Reyes.
There's a match.
Who doesn't want to see that?
Who doesn't want to see that?
This is the OB Challenge.
Yes.
Sponsored by OBQs.
Yes, this is the OB Challenge. And in all fairness, the arena is the Predator Arena. So We try to work with everybody.
Well, they're the major sponsor for the entire event, but this particular match is the OB Challenge. But I can't wait to see these guys play Scotch doubles 8-ball.
This is going to winter breaks too.
It's going to be awesome.
You're going to see some cool pool, and there's only what is it, 26 VIP seats, and you're right there. I mean,
24 for one table, but there's 40 total. But you know, some of those won't have as good of a view.
Yeah, but and just so everybody knows, they're assigned seating. You buy the seat, it's your seat. Nobody sits in it. Period.
So that's our second challenge match. We are working on a third, and as soon as we get all that firmed up, we'll let everybody know.
And in the meantime, we have the 8-ball is, excuse me, the 10 balls first, and it lasts 3 days. And then we have like a 3-day break.
2-day.
Is it 2 days? So you know more about this than I do. That's why you run the show now. And then we have the 3-day 8-ball. The 8-ball is at the last because that's when the teams of all the amateurs are, so they get a little more, they can relate a little bit. But during that 2-day window, we're going to have some other events, and one of them is going to be, we're still putting it together, it'll be a Pro-Am, and the professionals, we will have auctions to find out who gets to play with. You want to play with Efren, just bid. Keep bidding, and if you're the high bidder, he's your partner. And it'll be probably single elimination that we decided.
I mean, it's got to be quick and short.
But. And about 70% of the money will go back to the prize fund, 30% of the money will go to the junior program. But you're going to get to play in a tournament, races to 3 or 4 or something like that, Scotch doubles, with any one of these 16. And that's going to be pretty cool, too. You know.
Yeah.
And talking's allowed, coaching's allowed. And all. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be educational. It's going to be pretty cool.
And I have to work it out with Justin. Yeah. It'd be nice if we can mic these guys up, hear what they're saying as they're playing through this Scotch double.
Especially the Asian guys. I guess we have to have an interpreter.
Well, they're not in this match. So. I'm talking about this particular match.
But no, this one, But no, we're really trying to think outside the box and give the players something, give the fans something, give the amateurs that support our events something that's real. Because on top of this, all 16 of these invited players are going to be giving approximately 1 hour of free lessons to the amateurs per day. It's a 9-day event. 9 times 16 is 144 or something like that. That's a lot of free hours of pool. Yep. On a bar table. These are bar tables. We got a couple of tables set up, and we'll have the schedules pertaining on how they win or lose. And that's free. That's one of the things you get for being at our event.
Yep. So cool. That's the invitationals and the second challenge match.
I think it's just...
Which, by the way, Corey Dool and Mike Deshane are both sponsored by OBQs.
Yes.
So they were very happy to jump on board with this one, and it's going to be fun.
And, you know, Mike Deshane is still turning them up on the East Coast. He just beat Earl in some of those tournaments, and there was a couple of threads on where does he stand. A lot of people think he's like #2 American player, right behind, just behind Shane.
He's beat everybody out there except me.
Well, okay, hasn't beat me either, but he shoots awful.
Mike, I'm joking.
He shoots awful.
I know that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for the invitational stuff. Next, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about a question that's been asked more than once on AZ Billiards, Facebook, all over the place. In fact, it was asked just as early as last night on a Facebook post. A guy went on there whom I don't know, and he said, he actually made reference to me, so it sort of tagged me in the post, and that's why I knew about it. But he said something about Ozzy taking over for Mark or something, but he still doesn't know what CSI is or does. Yeah. And some other people have asked that before.
No, I call it alphabet soup. It really does get confusing. And
well, it used to be confusing.
Yeah.
So what we did, and we saw the need to do this beforehand. Yeah. Justin and I got together and we worked on a new, I'll call it an external organizational structure. It's not an organizational structure like you would traditionally think that you'd see people in a hierarchy. But this is what CSI is and what we do. So, Justin, if you want to pop that up on the screen, this is our organization.
That is it.
We really have
a lot of arms.
6 main divisions. The biggest one is our amateur leagues, which is really arguably two divisions.
Yes.
But our amateur leagues consist of the BCA Pool League and the USA Pool League. That might sound strange that we would have 2 different pool leagues. It would seem like they would be at odds with one another, but they actually are not.
They're completely different structures.
They are. So, Mark, before we get into some of the details, why don't you tell us a little bit of history about how CSI got started and how you ended up with such a fantastic general manager?
Who? I was actually I've been involved in the billiard industry for years. I mean, I owned my first pool room in 1969. But when I was on the board of directors of the Billiard Congress of America in about 2002, 3, in that range. And they got this brainy idea of selling the leagues. And I was the room proprietor representative, as was Greg Hunt. There was only 2 at the time. There was 14 people on the board, and 2 of them were room people. Both of us adamantly tried to talk the BCA out of selling the leagues. You did not. We told them, do not sell the leagues, because that's what connects you with the rooms. That's what connects you with the players. We were just run over. Everybody said, no, we need to sell them. We're a trade organization, blah, 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 blah. Bottom line is, they decided they were going to sell it. I said, well, if you're going to sell it, then I'm going to be interested in buying it. So I excluded myself from all the meetings and all that kind of stuff. And as it turns out, I was the last man standing to acquire it. But when the official changed many times during the negotiations, but the official day of when I finalized the deal was April 1st. That's April Fool's Day, in case you didn't notice that, of 2004. And so I had to start putting the organization together. And I only had use of the name for a few years at that point. That was part of the deal. And so I couldn't call it the BCA Pool League or BCA. So David Vandenberg, who's been with me since day one, we started kicking things around. And it's funny, because some of the names we've kicked around, they're now leagues called, but we didn't use them for certain reasons. But we kept messing with things. And CSI is a big program on TV. And in all honesty, my grandson loved CSI. We kept playing with this and playing with that. And we had CueSports, all kinds of things. And we came up with CueSports International, because you can just say CSI, and everybody knows what CSI is. And that's really how it happened. But we were always CSI doing business as BCA Pool League. So nobody knew CSI was even there. It was like the corporate name, it wasn't in the public. Then a couple years later, we rolled out the USA Pool League. Now, you can't have the BCA Pool League sponsoring the USA Pool League. It get way too confusing. So that's when we started branding things as CSI. And in the meantime, we made a deal with the Billiard Congress of America to gain use of where we can use BCA PL or BCA Pool League, basically in perpetuity. They wanted to have a venue to hold their tournament. We had the venue, because when I took over the league, I had the contracts with the Riviera and went through all that. And so that's where it stands. The USA Pool League is a completely different type of league. It's match play versus round robin. Most BCA Pool Leagues are round robin. Even though the BCA Pool League is really a sanctioning body, you can play 3-ball in your basement, and if you have enough players and teams, you can have a sanctioned league. And when you come to our tournament, you just play by our rules, and that's what, but you can play. We're a sanctioning body. We have approximately 500 leagues. None of them are, we have a few that are large, but most of them are the smaller. They're in-house leagues with 10, 12, 16, 25 teams, whatever. Whereas the USA Pool League is structured completely different. It's match play, meaning you and I play. We play to our points, our number. Like if I'm a 62 and you're a 90, that's what we play to.
I'm glad you recognize that my number would be higher.
Well, but that means you're spotting me, which means I'm going to win. It's got a very good system. It's emulated after the M8 system, which is in Minnesota, and it's been around for close to 20 years. Bruce Erickson put it together, and Bruce just passed away here about 4 or 5 months ago. Crazy Bruce, but he was one of them smart crazy guys, or crazy smart guys. I'm not sure which way you say it, but and they had a history of 15 or 20 years of over 75% hill matches, and it's because of the scoring method. It's not that you could be on the hill. Each game is worth 14 points. I'm going into a little detail, so maybe some people say, well, that sounds kind of cool. So if I'm going to 62 and a game is worth 14 points, if I have 49, or is that right? 14.
You're the mathematician of the group.
I'm also tired. If I am 49, I'm on the hill, because if I win the game, I get 14 points. And the reason you get 14 points is 1 point for every ball. That's 7, and 7 for the 8. That's 14 points. So you could be 2 point. You could be, if you're going to 90, you could be at 88, and you can make 4 solids if you're a solid. You really hit your point at 92, but you don't win because you have to win the last game if you're hill. And that really keeps the sandbagging to a minimum. And
well,
this is whole thing. It's not magic, it's common sense.
Well, I'll use the word magic. The magic in the rating system for the USA Pool League is that it takes into consideration your performance every week and adjusts accordingly.
Yeah.
So it's not a subjective thing where your league operator watches you play 2 racks and he says, well, that guy's good, he's a 7.
Yeah.
And then you're locked in way over your head.
Yeah, and our numbers, the numbers go from 35 to 125.
Yeah. It's a numerical system that adjusts every week depending on your performance. So your rating moves all along the way based on your performance. And like Mark said, it's about 75% of matches go hill.
We're slowly growing. We're not pushing it real bad.
You guys want to go into the bars? Because you're kind of crossing into that, like we talked about.
Pardon?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
While we're talking about USA Pool League.
I didn't catch what he said, so you can take it off.
Well, in our organizational chart, we've got bars to show each of our divisions, and since we're talking about USA Pool League, there it is.
Yep.
And you can see it's, as Mark was saying, it's completely different than the BCA Pool League. It's a uniform structure and handicap system. You do have free protected territories.
Yeah, you get a
the
geographical
key word there
area.
is free, unlike some other leagues that charge you
we're not a
thousands of
franchise.
dollars.
We are not a franchise. We are licensing. There's a huge difference.
Yep. No annual membership fee.
Yep.
So some leagues are, well, BCA Pool League is a $15 annual fee.
Yep.
Some leagues are much higher than that. USA Pool League is 0.
Yep.
And we have state tournaments, regional tournaments, and of course we have the national tournament.
Right. Its national tournament is alongside our BCA Pool League national tournament, so they go hand in hand.
Yep.
And it's pretty exciting because we took what we thought was the best of several different entities and systems and tried to make something that will work for people, because not everybody likes round robin. It's real hard to get statistical information off of round robin. You have 5 people, you play each person once. Hard to get, it's just harder to get the information. You get better information off of match play, but it's how you handle the information. And I'm not ragging on anybody, but when you said, so you're a 7, I've seen 7s that are pro material, and I've seen 7s that cannot hit the end rail.
Yep.
And that's because it's a bubble system, and it works well for in your bubble. This works a little bit better outside the bubble. In other words, because but there's always the local influences.
So anybody out there that may be interested in being a USA Pool League manager, contact us at the office.
Yep.
Ozzy at playcsipool.com will get you in touch with the right people, get you going.
That's right. Let's move on to the next. We don't want to get too much time on that. So.
Yep. So then we move on to one of our other divisions is the Open and Pro events.
Yeah. We're the only league that I like to think we can start you from the very beginner to all the way to the best player in the world. And I even though we started off as an amateur, that's what started this whole thing, was the amateur league. I feel that there should be some relationship between the best players and the beginning players. So we are probably more active in supporting pro events and stronger players. Look what we're doing for this 16-man invitational. And I'm proud of what we do. I mean, sometimes it's controversial because we just can't solve everybody's problems, but we're trying to get the problem being in so much of what has been done in the American pool world just doesn't work. Last year we had 2 96-man fields and a 64-man U.S. Open field, or one pocket rather. We added $60,000 and we lost probably $80,000–$90,000 on that event. Just we can't do it. So we've changed the format. You're going to find that, and everybody that's tuned in sees the landscape of American pool really going through some changes. And my attitude is it's about time, because if what wasn't working, you better find a new model. So,
Yep.
So I'm excited about something. We do the U.S. Bar Table Championships. Now I acquired that from Jay Helfert about 5 years ago, and we just did the 21st year. I lose track.
I'm not that old, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Well, and it's in Reno. Been in Reno every year. It's at the Grand Sierra. We're just about ready to announce the dates for next year. It's in February again. That's been a 25,500 added, and it's been 3 events now. It's 10 ball, 9 ball, 8 ball in that order on a bar table, and we have had some killer fields, and that's also streamed. Has been streamed in the past by TAR, and it'll be probably streamed by CSI in the future. Probably the best display of bar table play you'll find.
That was a fun event.
It
I'm
is a
not really
a great venue.
I personally am not a bar table guy, but that was a fun event.
Yeah.
Seeing those guys play that level on bar tables.
And you hear and it was alternating break, and you hear how, well, these guys are great, but somebody goes 7-0, 2 world champions, and one guy wins 7-0.
That's because the race was too short.
Well, I'm sure.
Race to 50.
Well, it could have been 50-0. I don't know. It's just amazing some of the things that happen when you have you just don't know what's going to happen. Bar table is tricky. If the balls are breaking good and everything, it's like running water. Other times, everything clusters up. You're not getting there.
So this division for us,
it's a fun one.
It it is, and I personally am the manager of this division.
Yep.
U.S. Bar Table Championships, U.S. Open 8-ball and 10-ball, which we're not doing this year, but that doesn't mean it's never going to happen.
They're going to come back in some form. They might, and it just may change. It might be the invitational 8-ball. We don't know, but we're keeping them around.
Yep. U.S. Open 1 pocket.
We had that in Reno. We've had that. I think we've had it 14 years now.
Obviously, the CSI Invitationals, Jay Swanson Memorial. Some people don't even know that's a CSI event.
I know, and that I bought some rooms in California in the mid-'90s, and one of them was college billiards. And right before I bought it, Jay Swanson, that was his home room. It was on El Cajon Boulevard in San Diego. That room opened up in 1964, and I was like the 4th owner. It was amazing.
I wasn't born yet.
I know that. Yeah. That room, you could walk in there, you see like a little innocent room, and there was like 10 killers in that room. I mean, you had Roy the cook, you had Swanee, you had Louis Ulrich, you had, Victor Castro, and they were. It was an unbelievable town. A lot of road players did not like that room. So, but he died right before I bought the room, and they agreed, and they wanted to do a Jay Swanson Memorial. And Swanee was one of the killers. I mean, he was a big guy, nicest guy in the world, the gentle giant. And there's stories like there'd be a game going on, and this is the guy they brought in to finish him off because he just was so smooth. And the more the money, the better he played. He won the last call for 9-ball in Atlantic City for $25,000. And it's amazing. If you look at that picture, the little girl, the casino right here on the little label, it says CSI. It's really, it does. I have no, and that was in the 60s or 70s. I don't know when the hell it was. But he was a real talent, and he won bar table and big table event. And we still continue it. It's moved to LA. It's been at Hard Times the last 3 or 4 years. It has grown into be the largest 2-day, it's a 2-day tournament, 9-foot tables. We shut it off at 192 players. We filled it 5, 6, 7 years in a row. It's not a pool tournament. It's a social event, short races.
21.
7 and 6, and it's a who's who. It's a great event. And then now we're doing the CSI challenge matches and things like that. So we really do support the pro events. We understand that there's a difference between pros and amateurs, but there's a common thread, and that's the love of the game.
Yep.
I think amateurs need to see how it's supposed to be played. They have to see something. That's why bowling or baseball or anything you watch on TV, so you can see how it's done. Then next up is...
And then one of our other divisions is CTS. Many of you may have no idea what that is.
It means CSI Tournament System.
CueSports Tournament System. Yeah. And that's the system that, I say we, like I have a mouse in my pocket.
Well, or a turd.
CSI developed, and that runs our tournaments. And really it was built for large-scale tournaments. Yeah. But allows you to do online tournament management, online registration, random draws, live scoring, live brackets, even text alerts. So your match is coming up and it'll send you a text.
We were some of the first people to do that, but we went through some huge software changes. We put it in the cloud, and we had some monster programs that internal, plus the tournament system, and they were rewriting, and it took a couple-year project, and we got behind the curve a little bit, and technology changes, and the support changes, and this and that, but we're not done with it yet, and it works on your phone, and we've had pretty good response.
Can we show the CTS bar, Justin?
Yeah, we're now off of the. We're not using paper brackets anymore.
And that is, if you can see at the bottom, ctsondemand.com, and there's links all over our websites.
Yeah, if you ever want to see you can go back and look at any of the tournaments we've had. Go back 4 or 5 years. You open up the page and it'll say show all tournaments because it just shows the recent ones. You got to click on the show previous tournaments or all tournaments, and you can look up 5 years ago in the
see the results of all.
See the result. You can click on the men's open singles and GI played, you put in your name, poof, every match you've ever played. You want to see how Jose Perica's done against Johnny Archer, you put it in there, poof. It's something that the industry needs. And
I'll tell you, there's been some, not to reveal too much, but we've had conversations at the office. I'd like to leverage that a little bit and make it available for other entities.
Well, that's why we put it in the cloud, because otherwise it had to run on a laptop. And then you have security issues. So It's now in the cloud, which is a little more difficult than it sounds. I'm not a techie by any means.
Because I tell you, and I've said this at the office, when I was running the tour back east, I was looking for a solution like this, and it just...
There's a lot of programs out there, but they're isolated.
They all had downfalls that just didn't work for our format. This could, though.
This is actually designed, it's a player management system, it's a personnel and tracks. If it automatically says if you come in third, it drops in. So if you try to play in an open event, but you're a master player, you can't anymore. It does all these things, and if this could be used for softball or little league or bowling, or it's being designed as a sports management tournament unit package. And according to the guys we work with, there's nothing out there like it. So who knows? I don't know. Yep. And then Magic Ball Rack, which is a little oddball one, but when I became aware of the Magic Ball Rack, I just thought it was the nuts. I've been running tournaments for so many years.
This is one of the rare times I agree with you 100%.
The second year we ran the Swanee, I've been to every Swanee except one, and that's like 19 years now. And even when I lived in Alaska, I'd fly down and run it or whatever. The second year, I went to Rack Your Own, just because it was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And so I've been a big proponent of Rack Your Own from years ago, because it's a move. You could tell, I don't like it, Mark, rack again. After like 10 times, you're like this, especially if I'm playing a world champion. They can just shark the crap out of you, So I just thought this Magic Rack was just the nuts, because now you can rack your own.
Yep.
And so I became the distributor for North America. And I work with Roy Chow, who's the inventor of it, from Hong Kong. And we're not setting the world on fire, but it's a great product. We support it. The Swanees played on it. Most of the events at the bar table played on it. At our nationals, all the open 8-ball, open 10-ball, and Grandmasters, they're all played on it.
Well, up to this point, it has just simply been a product that CSI offered. They were the exclusive North American distributor. I made it its own division because I think there's a lot more potential there.
There is. We give sponsorship. If you have a tour that needs some sponsorship, we can work something out. And
did one today, as a matter of fact.
Well, we've probably got 20 or 30 of the little tours that are using it, because it eliminates so many hassles. I heard Pat Fleming and those guys talk. Their final match would have been at the U.S. Open would have been an hour shorter if they didn't have the racking issues.
Do you know
that's in one match?
There's a tour right now not sponsored by CSI for Magic Rack.
Yeah, who's that?
Action Pool Tour.
Well, you used to have, wouldn't you? Oh, you're the guy that couldn't hold on to them because everybody stole them from you. It's those Virginia guys. They steal everything. No.
I didn't say that, people.
Magic Rack is just, it's a little, but it's just, anybody that knows how I do business knows I don't do business. I'm just like, I'm all over the board. We can talk about Alaska now, too. We haven't noticed that. No.
Next is we have a ref program.
I think we have the best ref program. And this came with the leagues when we bought it from the Billiard Congress of America. And so they set up the foundation. We just continued it, that's all. So.
And hopefully improved it.
Well, yeah, we did improve it, at least, So.
And ref program, we keep the CSI rulebook updated, current copies, whether hard copies or digital.
Internet, there's most of it's now internet available.
Given to our league members and operators. We do referee training and certification, and we'll also provide refs at other events. Yeah. They might be CSI events, they may not.
We have some pretty capable refs. Refs are always an issue. A lot of the leagues, they just grab a good player, and that's fine, because under most circumstances. But there's some little nuances in there that are, if you're really going to be a ref, you need to be a ref. You need to have some training. You need to know the right way of doing things. And Bill Stock's been running this program for, 10 years for me, and does a good job. And a lot of people know who Kenny Schumann. He came out of he evolved into the MC and the tournament directors and all those things out of our ref program. And we have some really good people in
that. Is
he
our poster boy for the ref program?
I don't know if you can say that or not.
You too could be Ken Schumann?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, he's getting pretty good exposure, because we brought him on board. I mean, he was with the system, and got him some exposure, got him into the Derby City, doing some things there, and then pretty soon he got. That's where AccuStats got to know him, and he went to the Philippines, and it's pretty. He's everywhere.
Not to get too far off topic, but I gained a lot of respect for Ken at the U.S. Bar Table Championships this past February.
Yeah, February. Yeah.
He was insanely sick.
Yeah, I heard
he was sick as a dog, and he was commentating the entire event.
Yeah.
Refused
and he did that out of the love of the game. He only lives 80 miles from there.
He refused to stop, take a break, take a rest. Yeah. He just kept going with his hood on and you know, taking the mic off and sniffling. It was, I felt bad for him, but he gained my respect out of that one. I like Ken a lot.
And then now we have the new one, CSI Media. That's Mr. J taking care of that one. Yeah.
Justin Collett, CSI Media Manager, and that consists of live streaming,
which is
podcasts.
Yeah, that's right 2 in 1.
Yeah. Manages the CSI YouTube channel. Does some website stuff with us, and a big part of his job is graphic design.
So he did this little chart.
He did this chart.
That's amazing. I won't tell him about the error then, because he's pretty big.
Does a great job. In fact, the latest thing he did was that OB Challenge match graphic, which I really like. I thought it was a great job.
That's going to be an awesome match. All of these, I mean, we can almost take side bets on which ones gets.
We know the match is great. But I'm talking about what a great job Justin's doing.
Well, I know. That's all right. But they're related. If he makes a lousy poster, we get lousy visibility. It's just, no, he does good work.
No, Justin's great to work with. One of the things I like working with Justin, the reasons I like working with Justin, and if you're not used to that type of personality, it might be frustrating, but he'll tell you exactly what he thinks.
Yeah.
Doesn't care who you are. There's no feelings or emotion in it whatsoever. I've had ideas I've sent to him, and he'll come back and say,
"That is a lousy idea.
I hate that. It's stupid."
I'm not that bad, man.
Pretty close.
I try to give a reason for everything.
But no, we're glad that Justin's on board. I mean, there's always that little speculation, like what happened to Tar and how's he with CSI? Two completely different things, related, but Justin made Tar. Justin knows more about this streaming crap than all the rest of them put together, except maybe Pat Fleming, you know, and a lot of sweat equity, a lot of gray hair, and it was too valuable. He was too valuable to just wander down the road and sell cars somewhere, you know. So, and he likes what he's doing. He loves pool. Now he's still involved. So it's cool. It's a win-win for everybody, and we're trying to put a team together. You know, we've always been that way, and we cover a lot of ground. I mean, I know I throw a lot of crap on the wall, and now, as I said, we had an office meeting. For 10 years, we've thrown shit on the wall. Now it's time to see what's stuck, and reassemble it, and make a real cohesive plan and go forward. Because, you know, we have to run it a little more as a business. First of all, I'm unwinding a lot of my things, and Ozzy's going to be running most of it, and it's time for a little different direction.
Well, I can tell you, most people don't, folks out there, you don't see what happens on the inside, but
no,
just in the last 3 months, there have been enormous changes.
Yeah.
You're seeing some of it externally, but there's a lot of stuff internally you don't see that's happening, and I think it's going to make us very, very strong going forward in the future.
Well, and we're a big fish in a little pond. I think CSI has probably more influence on the world of pool in the U.S. than probably any other entity, and that's not bragging, but we do things, and yeah, we make mistakes. I mean, you can read a post and see that, but no. If you make mistakes, sometimes it's because you're doing something. And I really appreciate the fact that the staff we just keep doing it. And we're not going away. We're going to try and find the right answers, whatever that is. So, but that's kind of what CSI is all about.
That is CSI. That's who we are. That's what we do.
And
any questions on that? That chart, by the way, is on the CSI website under Contact Us.
Yeah. And I will say, as always, if you were going to say something, questions, just pick up the phone and call us. If I'm available, I'll talk to anybody, even you. But I just want to know who you are, and I want some intelligent questions. If you want to just bitch me out, that's fine too, but expect to get it back. So, because I get upset, some of these the keyboard cowboys that they put this crap out there and they have no idea what they're talking about. And I really wish you'd check your facts before you open your mouth or punch your keys or whatever the hell you want to call it. So, we're not shy. We're very visible. And you show me another league or another entity that if you post something that the owners or the managers will respond to and take your call. Try that at Brand X. You know, it's just, but we're from Alaska. We treat people individuals.
You're from Alaska.
Well, you can be an honorary Alaskan. You can be bear meat. So, anyhow.
Did you guys want to go over the whole the player list?
I think it should.
We haven't seen it yet. It's,
can you post it up there?
Yeah,
We can
right
just
there.
we can just do the.
There it is. There's a player list. Shane Van Boning.
Well, just from North America, just the 4
North
R.
America, Shane Van Boning, Mike DeShane, Corey Dole, and John Mora. Europe, Darren Appleton, Ralph Souquet, Torsten Homan, and Jason Shaw. Philippines, Francisco Bustamante, Efren Reyes, Warren Kiamko, Dennis Orcolo. And finally from Asia.
Yeah, just those guys. Ko Pin Yi and the little brother Ko Ping Chung. And then Chen and Chang.
Ching and Chang.
I just wanted to say that logo you see up there was done by J.P. Parmenter.
Oh,
and
JP, yeah.
JP's working with us on this, the invitationals, and I'm really excited about it because
this guy's
JP
good.
he's, in my opinion, he's the best at what he does in the industry, and I don't think there's really anybody even a close second when it comes to photography and all the other things.
He's going to be
does.
putting the posters and the slogan, the little logos, and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And we're trying to step up our game a little bit. You know,
this is the general logo for the invitationals that we're going to have. JP's currently working on other promotional materials for this event. Not only does he do a great job, as Justin said, but he's fantastic to work with.
Yeah.
I've sent him
correspondence for everybody that cares.
I send him correspondence. He replies immediately. True team player. In one instance, I asked him, you had worked out a deal with him before I came on board, I believe, or while I was going, something happened.
Yeah.
You made a deal with him that I wasn't involved in. And I asked him, for this, what are the things you're going to do? And essentially it was, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of these situations where, no, I told you I was going to do X, and if I do X plus
he's
one.
a team player. And, he does all the matchroom stuff and everything. He's not a beginner here. He knows what the hell he's doing.
Heavily involved in building the AZ billiard site, too.
Well,
right?
he's one of their techie guys, and he's a piece of AZ now or something. And that was like a 3 or 4 year project. So we're really building a strong team. And I know he hates when I say these things, but what were we adding up the other day? And our staff has 284 years in the pool industry.
But you're 100 of them. So.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine that? Really, we only have 8 people in our office. That's like crazy,
No, we have more than 8 people.
We'll count the girls upstairs at 10.
They're people.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Come on, Mark.
But that's still, if you count the people that never picked up a pool cue, our average is like 228 years a person. I mean, that's insane. Really, and you can say, well, that just means you're old. No, it means we've seen a lot. We've seen the old timers play. We know how the push-out rules work, and we know how this works and why that doesn't work. We don't know the answers because it's a moving target, and the economy has a lot to do with it. But I think it's pretty important to have that kind of experience. I do.
Well, I think
we're in a specialty industry.
If you're in the billiards industry and you're trying to run a company in the billiards industry, to not have any billiards experience would be insane.
Well, but you see it all the time.
But what you really need to have is you really need billiards experience and you need business experience.
I'm going to agree.
You got to have both of those. I think we're definitely on the right track.
I think we're making some cool changes, and it's going to be very obvious in the next year or two if we were successful or how successful we were.
Yep.
It's a tough nut right now. The industry's hurting. It's just going through some changes. The only thing that's constant is change. It's no big deal. Things happen. But don't expect to see us on ESPN in the near future. It's just that stuff just doesn't work anymore. So.
Anything else you wanted to talk about?
No. Oh, I did want to mention a little bit. There's a thread on AZ Billiards that some of these guys, and I'm not really going to call any names. I made 2 posts on there. If you got something to say, just try to make sure it's accurate. And if you don't know if it's accurate, pick up the phone and ask me. If it pertains to our events. Some of you guys are getting way too hysterical on this race to 21 versus a race to 50 or a race to 100. It is a proven fact that races to 100 don't work for too many people. Several people were upset at the way Ozzy responded to a bunch of posts, and he says, look, we're going to do a race to 21, and there's a lot of reasons why. We analyze all the options. You guys don't know what the other options and the other things are, but we cannot gamble on having a race to 50 between Ko Pin-Yi and Shane Van Boening when we only have certain time frames. And everybody says, well, that match only takes 3.5 hours. Yeah, you're talking about Shane and Nick the Greek. How about the race to 21 that Shane and Alex had that took 5.5 hours at the Derby a few years back? We have to deal on the side of conservatism as far as time goes. This is a great race. 21 is a long race to me. Everybody says the race is too short. Since when in the hell is a race to 21 a short race? A short race is 7, or than the women's TV, was it 5? This is not supposed to determine who's the best in the world. It's supposed to determine who's the best that day. And it's going to do that. And it's going to have enough drama, and if it's reasonably close, then I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it go down at 4 in the morning and they may be doing it again. You just may not know it unless you're there. I mean, we're there 9 days. The tables are there 9 days. I expect to see some real fireworks. And this is going to be an exciting match, although I'm really looking forward to the Scotch doubles more.
That's going to be fun.
That's going to be fun. But a word of caution. We got people saying, well, screw CSI. You know what's best for pool? Well, you'll just watch it without me. Well, what the hell do you want me to do? You want me to have a race to 100? You and your mother can come down and watch it? Let's be reasonable here. We do a lot for pool. We think outside the box. And after a while, enough is enough. If you got something to say, and then people, but I have a right to say an opinion. Yeah, you do.
You know how to fix all this?
Yeah, don't go on AZ Billiards.
Yep.
But it's a shame because some of these guys,
just don't let them make you crazy.
There's a couple of people there are stone cold idiots. And if you want to know if you're on my idiot list, call me and I'll tell you.
Well, I'll say
unbelievable.
I'll say this about the whole situation. That thread probably would have had 60 views if I had not commented on it. Instead, it's got over 300, I think.
300 posts. It's got thousands of views.
Oh yeah. The mistake I made was posting a personal opinion on a specific aspect of pool in that particular match.
Yes and no, but you are who you are. You represent CSI. And we had those discussions. We went to a race to 21. We went to 16. There's a lot of reasons why we did these things. First of all, these guys are playing a much bigger tournament the next day. They're not going to want to play a race to 50. They might have jet lag, all kinds of issues. And these keyboard cowboys, they got to be aware of these things. Somebody says, well, I'd rather see best out of 5, 3 out of 5 races to 21. Well, that could be 5, that could be like what, 120 games? I don't know. Give me a break. Nobody's going to watch that. The players don't want to play it. The TV guys don't want to stream it. The logistics don't work out. And it ties up the whole facility we only have a certain amount of times. We've just announced the second challenge match. There's going to be a third one that's announced. Those tables are not going to be idle that long. And on top of that, we have the American rotation playoffs on the table. We have a lot of things going on. We have over 40 events going on in 9 days. I wish everybody would be a little more patient, a little less critical, and at least say, wow, at least you're doing something. You may not agree with what we're doing, but to call us and insinuate, I mean, this one guy said he insinuated that CSI pulled the plug on TAR so we could do our own thing. Tell you what, buddy, stand in front of me. I'll tell you exactly where to stick it. And you know who I'm talking to. And you know my phone number.
The one thing I'd like to say, I wasn't even going to comment on it, but since we're here.
I love doing this.
That's all right.
Because I get to, these guys, they just throw this crap all the time and just be a little logical. I'm a logical person. I'll talk to anybody about anything. As long as I know who you are. I'm not talking to anybody anonymously.
I made this whole thing started because I made a comment based on a personal opinion, what I thought was better for the match and for pool. But because of my position, people took that as CSI's post, and rightly so. I have personal opinions about what's good for pool, and I personally don't believe that a race to 100 is good for anybody.
Nobody, but everybody agrees with you.
Well, no, not everybody apparently.
Well, everybody that's making the decisions agrees with you.
So some people felt like my post was ignoring the consumer and being rude, and I apologize to everyone that it came off that way, but it didn't seem to matter. And there's one guy in particular that has a personal issue with me from Maryland, and I would love to respond to some of his comments and put him in his place, so to speak. But here's the deal.
What's the value?
Well, here's the deal. In my position now, if I were
Yeah.
just a guy that plays pool back in Virginia, I could do that, no big deal. With my position now, I can't defend myself because if I get down in the gutter with these guys, I lose even if I win the argument.
Yeah.
So I've made a decision. You'll never see any post from me on AZ Billiards anymore unless it's just promotional type stuff.
Yeah.
If that's the watered down opinions that people need, that's what they're going to get from me.
Unfortunately,
I'm not going to get into this personal thing anymore on AZ Billiards because it's really not worth it.
I will still get involved. If you crank my crank, I'm going to still get it. I like to wrestle in the mud once in a while. I don't know what it is because I think it proves a principle. I don't do things. I try not to be stupid. I do stupid things, but I try not to do them intentionally. And people have got to understand that there's if you don't know all the facts, you don't know why decisions are made. And it's not the end of the world one way or the other. I just want to have a debate with people and be respectful. But some of these guys, I mean, one person said, yeah, if they played to 750, somebody else would want to play to 800.
Well, which was essentially the point that I tried to make.
Well, but listen, football won't last 12 quarters, I promise you.
The best points are made by exaggeration.
Yeah, but I've told you a million times, don't exaggerate. It's just, this is a race to 21. In my world, that's a long race. In fact, when it was approached to one of the players, and we've had plenty of discussions.
This is hilarious.
But we've had plenty of discussions with different people on putting these things together. There's a lot of dynamics to making an event happen.
Can I say this? I'd just really like to have the pleasure of saying this.
Yes.
This whole debate about race to 21, race to 50, race to 100. I'm trying to set up the last challenge match, and I contacted one of the players, and I said, hey, would you be interested in playing a challenge match with
X,
John Doe, race to 21, 9-ball, for example? The response I got back was, yes, we'll play anybody, but race to 21's too long. Can we go to 13?
Yeah, and this is the player speaking. So now that shows the different perspective. And I know that everybody wants the pool, and we love the pool freaks. Tar love the pool freaks. We love the pool freaks, but nobody wants to watch a race to 50. I'll guarantee you, if we do these challenge matches at our tournaments, you will never see a race to 50. We don't have the time. We can't put that much into one match. We might have 2 or 3 races to 15 or something like that. I think there's better formats, but not within the constraints that we have. We have 3 challenge matches. All 3 of them are going to be races to 21. So there's some consistency in what we're doing. So I would suggest to everybody be respectful, be patient, and if you want to know something, email me or call me. It's that simple. And with that,
1 hour
you get the 7.
1 hour and 2 minutes.
1 hour and 2 minutes.
We've got a covered table with balls out at, well, here too, but out in our warehouse.
Really?
And I told you this morning, I said, there it is, you got the 7.
You know, I haven't hit a ball on a 9-foot table in a long time. Actually, I'm my team. I had to come in as a sub, and since I got this little leash, I haven't been playing much pool. But actually, I'm playing pool 1 night a week on a bar table, playing 6 games a week. Woo. And our team's in first place. I'm killing them, bud.
Not only that, I heard that you were the guy holding the team afloat.
I won 5 out of 6, and I won 6 out of 6, and I won 4 out of 6. And not bad for an old fart that can't breathe. At least I got hair.
You're aerodynamic.
Yes. I appreciate everybody listening. We should make it, the TV channel here has The Rant, and we should have The Rant every week where people can call in.
That would definitely be your segment.
Yeah, it would. And but we're done.
We're trying to do a better job of sticking to 1 hour. We're just a couple minutes over, but
these are kind of fun. We like response. I put some of this stuff out. You got to talk to us. You know, that's where we learn. Doesn't mean we're going to listen, because we might not agree with you. But if we're not aware of it, we can't make the choice. Help us out.
So,
anything more to say?
If anybody wants to know our opinions on anything, shoot us an email. AZ Billiards will not work for me anymore because it. I'll second what Justin said.
Yeah, it's.
There's a lot of good people in there. Don't get me wrong. A lot of good people. A lot of good people. You know, sort of took what I believe is the right side of the issue, but really it can become the gutter.
There's 2 or 3 guys. There's a couple of them that are pretty active in this thread that I don't think they should ever post.
Well,
I'm sorry, they're so negative.
Justin's dead right. He said it before. He said it's a vocal minority. It sort of ruins it for everybody.
It does.
It
There's
should be
10% of the people control that whole.
It should be a place where everybody can voice their opinion and have civil discussions, but it's not that way anymore.
No.
So.
And even haven't been posting that much, but I've been pretty busy. We're in the middle of a lot of things. But I respect the game. It's all about the game. And anyhow, we'll be here in 2 weeks.
I wanted to say one thing about AZ before we take off, but
yes, sir. You're done.
I think it's pretty. AZ. TAR was built off of AZ, and a lot of things. Look at what AccuStats is doing with their Make It Happen events.
Yep.
None of that could happen without AZ. AZ's helped put a lot of money in players' pockets, and all of ours in one way or another. But it's easy to throw the baby out with the bathwater when you get pissed off. I've done it before, but Ozzy said it. There's so many good people there, but it's just to me, it all comes back. There's one reason for that. It is the way it is.
They need moderation.
Now.
They need better moderation.
Exactly. There really is no moderation.
They need some of these guys that just all they want to do is argue and argue.
When you have moderators like Wilson come in and stir up more trouble than he stops, and I've seen it 100 times.
I haven't seen that. So.
And over the years, it just happens all the time. But I don't know. Maybe at some point, I need to. Catch Jerry and Mike, and instead of complaining about it, sit down and talk to them and see if there's not something we can do to help, or see, because I'm members of other forums, and every forum's different. AZ is a playground compared to some, and it's a zoo compared to others. Yeah. And there's a balance to be had there. It's just too far one way right now, I think. But
it is by far the largest, most well-versed, more accessible billiard forum site in the world.
I didn't mean to sound anything negative on AZ Billiards, the website. It's the forum section in particular.
Yeah. I agree because
and the problem is, you said it earlier, that particular thread has 3,000-4,000 views.
9,000 last I checked.
And I would guess that most people would agree with our position.
Yeah.
I think that's
There's
fair
a couple
to say.
of bullies on there, and one of them knows who he is, and I hope he calls me.
The problem is you got about 5 to 10 people that no matter what the topic, they just want to argue or say something negative. Every post is negative.
Everything's controversial.
But the people
and they don't know the facts.
But a lot of the people that aren't like that, the majority, they just simply read it and move on, and nothing is ever said. Yeah. So it's really overrun by the negativity.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that mental attitude was prevalent in the billiard industry. That's one of the reasons why we went to the Invitational rather than deal with all the players. It was the attitude. We're supposed to be in this together. That's why I mentioned that Darren Appleton and lately Scott Frost and some of these guys, there's others, are their posts on Facebook and everything are so generous and so warm and so feel good, and that's what we need. I got my brains beat out, but man, that guy played good.
Yeah.
Not like he got a lucky roll. The table got me. Come on.
Yep.
But anyhow, my table's going to get me as I boogie out the door, so I'm going to call it a good night. Justin, thank you very much for putting all this together, and Ozzy, thanks you for being abusive towards me again. But you're a kid.
Oh, it was light tonight. I really get on you.
And
the office is fun. We need to film some of the stuff we say to each other.
We need a reality show.
Before we go, I want to share one funny story.
Uh-oh.
We have a lady working downstairs, and she instituted the F-pot in our office. You can imagine what that is. That's F-bombs. If you throw out the F-bomb, you have to put $1 in the pot. And we were having a phone conversation with somebody, and Mr. Griffin here, he was getting a little hot under the collar, and he stood up. He said, "Give me change for a 20. I need F-pot money. I'm going to make it rain."
I've had a lot of issues going on in my life in the last couple of weeks, months, and I've been a little testy, and I admit it. And I've been a little short-fused. I'm holding it together pretty well, considering I'm, old and crotchety and other issues. But I'm having a little fun.
You're in the prime.
Every Monday, does he just put 100 in the F-pot for credit?
Yeah. Right. But then I'd have to track him.
Right.
But it is kind of funny. And that person has, Justin, you're not going to believe this. She's mid-50s. She's been playing pool for 43 years. Can you imagine that? She was semi-pro. I mean, she played in the women's tour or whatever.
She's done a good job of cleaning up your language a bit and generating some additional revenue. She's a good lady.
I really like her. Her husband is a well-known East Coast player that moved out here, and yeah, it's cool. Pool is such a cool game because you know somebody that knew somebody, and pretty soon you say, "Well, I knew that guy 30 years ago." It's such a small industry, and we should all learn to get along better. And if you don't like me, tough. We'll still get along. That's a long list. Let's get out of here. Can we leave?
Good night, everybody.
Turn the switch, Justin. See you in 2 weeks.
Good night. 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah.